Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unreal 5 tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to create organic shapes within Unreal 5 using Spline. So this is a spline and spline mesh tutorial in which we're going to make shapes like this. So we'll be turning a road from this into this. You can see this is just a normal road, very straight, and we're going to be turning it into this using the exact same mesh so we have it nice and curved, so it's a nice bendy road like this. It's more of an organic shape. And this will work for anything. It doesn't just have to be roads, it doesn't have to be like horizontal like this, it can be vertical, anything that you want. But this is what we'll be going over and creating today. So without further ado, let me delete this code and I'll show you how I've done it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to actually create our spline blueprint. So to do that, we're going to press Control Space to open up our content browser, right click, create a blueprint class, and we're going to create an actor, naming this one whatever you want. So I'm going to name it Road Spline BP, as that makes the most sense for me. I'm going to open it up straight away. Now in here, the first thing we want to add is we want to add in a component in the viewport. So we're going to press the add button here, and we're going to search for spline. We don't want the spline mesh, we just want the spline under utility, and add that in there. That's all we need to do in the viewport. So we can compile and save that, and now go over to the construction script. As we're not doing this in the event graph, we're doing it in the construction script. So every time this blueprint updates is when this is going to be firing off and doing the code we want. And so what we want to do in here is we want to get the spline. So hold Control and drag it in to get. Out of this, we're then going to get number of spline points, like so. And out of this return value here, you'll notice it is an integer. So we want to drag out of this and get a minus. So we've got a subtract there, and we're going to do an integer minus an integer, with that bottom one being 2. Now the reason we're subtracting 2 from this is because this is going to remove the end and start points. So we're getting the total number of spline points, removing the start and the end, so removing the beginning and end, and this will then return the amount of spline points in between those two, as that's the ones we want to actually mess about with. So I hope that makes sense. This value is then going to go into a for loop. So we'll drag out this and get a for loop, not with break, just a for loop like so, connecting that into the construction script there. However, this doesn't want to be in the first index, it wants to be in the last index. So if we hold Control, we can drag this down to the last index like so, leaving the first index as 0. So it's going to go through a loop from 0 all the way up to the maximum amount of spline points we have, minus 2. Then in the loop body of this, what we're going to do is add spline mesh component. So we didn't add it in the viewport, we're adding it in here instead. Now with this still selected, what we're going to do is change some of the options in here. So the first one we're obviously going to change is the static mesh. Now this is going to be the mesh we actually want to use for our spline, and for me that is going to be a road. So I'm going to change the static mesh to road segment, like so, as that is the one which I'm using, and it should automatically put the material in there as well. Now the next thing we want to change is the forward axis down here. I'm leaving mine as X, but you want to change yours to be whatever the forward axis is for you. So if we compile and save this, we'll minimize it and open up the static mesh we're using. So again, for me, that is road segment here. You'll notice that for me, the forward is going this way, and that is on the X axis. So if we're to look at this, you'll see in the bottom left here, we've got the X, the red going forwards there. If it was facing this way, you'll notice that is the Y like so, and obviously if it's going up, that would be the Z. So just change it accordingly to what it is for you. Again, for me, it is the X. So go back here, and that's all we need to change. You can obviously change the collision here as well if you wanted to, but I'm not going to bother with that at the moment. Then after this, what we're going to do is drag out of the return value of this, and we're going to attach component to component, like so. And the parent of this wants to be this actor, essentially. So we're going to drag in the default scene root, once again holding Control to get it, connecting that into the parent there. So we're connecting the road, or the spline mesh, into the default scene root, so they're now connected and going to move along with each other perfectly like so. Everything here we can leave the same, so make sure it's keep relative, and we don't need a socket name. Then the last thing we want to do is we also want to set the start and end points and location for this mesh. So drag out the return value one more time, and simply set start and end, like so, connecting that into the attached component to component there. That's the executable we're attaching. So now we have something which looks a little bit like this. So now we need to actually just get the start and end positions and tangents. And that's actually very simple. So we'll go back to our for loop here, and we're going to again get the spline, so drag that in and get it, Out of this, we're then going to get location and tangent at spline point, simply like so. Now this, what we're going to do is the point index is going to be the index of the for loop there. So the spline point we're getting location at is the current spline point which we're looking at via this loop here. So I hope this all makes sense and it's all connecting in your mind now. The coordinate space we want to make sure we leave as local. And now this location and tangent here is the starting location and tangent. So we can just connect location and tangent into start of our set start and end positions there, like so. I'm going to move these over a slight bit like this. And I'm just going to double click these to get some root nodes just to keep it nice and organized like this. Next, we want to get the end positions. Now it's very simple as well. Once again, I'm just going to copy and paste this to get location and tangent at spline point, with the target being spline. However, this time the point index isn't just the index, it's going to be the index plus 1. So get an add, and we're going to add 1 like so, then connect that into the index like that. Once again, coordinate space being local, location and tangent going into the end position, and tangent there like so. And that now should be the code all completely and entirely done for us. We can compile, save, and close that, and start setting this up in our level. So if we press Control Space once again, drag in our road spline BP, we now have it here. I'm going to rotate it as I want it to go the other way. Let me turn on my toggle snapping again, like so. And now what we can do is start creating our road. So to do that, what we're going to do is get right in, select that other kind of white dot we see there. Now we've got the spline selected. If you hold down left alt and drag out, you're going to duplicate the spline point to add in another spline point there. And you can do that again and keep just holding alt and dragging out to get more spline points. Then if you were to move it like this, you'll notice it's actually rotating. So we're going to have a perfect curve like this. And what you can do is also drag these and move these about to change the kind of intensity of the curve and to make it a bit more smoother. So if we go back to this one, move it, you'll notice this is now changing so it looks a little bit better like so. And I can then move this out again, drag it round, and do the same thing over and over again as much as I want to get these nice curves that we have here. So now we've got a nice curve in the road, and I'll do the same thing like this. Obviously you can get a lot more detailed and spend a lot more time on this to make it look a lot better. I'm just doing this very quickly just for the purpose of the tutorial to show you how it works. Again, you can make this look a whole lot nicer than what I'm currently doing here. For example, the one I showed you at the start of the video, I spent a lot more time on, so it looked a little bit better than what I'm currently doing here. But you can see how easy it is to actually just create these curves and loops using spline meshes here, like so. So we can create organic shapes however we want, like that. So I think that'll be it for this video. So we've done everything we want to do. We've created organic shapes using splines in Unreal Engine 5, so we now know how to use splines and spline meshes to create organic shapes like this. And again, the more detailed you go and the more time you spend on it, the better it's going to look. So thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe down below. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.